Hi, my name is Roger. I'm an American who's been living in the UK now for 2.5 years. I'd like to talk about some of the differences. You can see on a map, of course, the sheer difference in size. The UK is smaller than Oregon, but it has a large population of nearly 70 million. That's much larger than any American state. And if you look on a satellite map of the UK, you'll see that pretty much every square mile, at least of England, is modified by humans somehow. It's towns and cities and farmland, a lot of farmland, more than you might expect. But it's easy to get around by public transit because of that density. You can get pretty much anywhere you want to go by bus or train. That's not to say that it will be quick, but you can get there. Even smaller towns, they usually have a bus service. In a medium city, there's going to be extensive public transit. I also find more people to be walking around, even in a smaller city. Compared to the United States, it's like night and day. In the town centers, you'll see, even on not such a great day, even when the weather's not great, you'll see lots of people walking around. I have a colleague here in the UK who visited the US, and she commented that it felt lonely. And that kind of resonated with me because I do remember you don't see so many people's faces. I think people spend more time in their cars. And Americans have a lot of cars. They're bigger than our cars. You do not see many big pickup trucks or SUVs here. Gas is a lot more expensive. It can cost between $7 and $8 a gallon. A lot of that's due to VAT, which is a 20% tax, value-added tax. We drive on the left side of the road. I'm told it's quite difficult to get a driver's license, so hopefully our drivers are pretty good. I noticed something with the stoplights, how it turns yellow before turning green, and that actually helps me as a pedestrian. I can tell it's okay to cross when it's red for the cars, but when I'm crossing and it turns yellow, that tells me I need to hurry up because it's about to turn green for them. Less of our cities are taken up by parking lots, and our parking spaces are smaller, our cars are smaller. You'll even find that some streets do not have street parking. My previous address, we did not have street parking. Basically, it was impossible to own a car at that property. It was a street with terraced housing, which means all the houses are connected, which is super common in the UK. Detached houses are not as common. That's when you don't have any neighbors. An advantage of detached housing is you don't have neighbors, which means you won't be bothered by the sounds that they're making by loud neighbors. On the other hand, there's more energy efficiency when you're sharing walls with your neighbors. So you can turn down your thermostat and steal your neighbor's heat a little bit. The houses are smaller. Sometimes you'll find really quite small bedrooms here that might compare to a large walk-in closet in the United States. Believe it or not, the weather is mild here. It rarely goes below freezing in the winter, at least here in England. And in the summer, it's not often above 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 27 Celsius. 70 Fahrenheit is very common as a high. I don't turn on my heating from about the middle of April to the middle of October, and we don't have air conditioning. You'll be hard pressed to find air conditioning in residences. People have fans, but there's just very little need for air conditioning. But we are at a higher latitude, even if our weather is less extreme, which means our winters are dark and our summers are very light. The sun may start coming up around 3 a.m., which isn't great if you don't have blackout curtains or you have seagulls that start making a lot of noise at 3 a.m. Cost of living, it's an interesting comparison. There's VAT, so some things are more expensive, like a new phone or a new car, but a lot of things are cheaper. Groceries are dramatically cheaper. If you go to the supermarket, pretty much everything is cheaper. Fruits and vegetables are dramatically cheaper. I was amazed to be able to buy a kilogram of oats for 90 pence. I was amazed to get my phone plan for £5 a month, which is right now $6.20. And I get 5 gigabytes of data a month. I get 1,000 UK minutes, 100 international minutes, and my plan works throughout Europe. Even if the cost of living is lower, that is offset by the salary differences. Although I would argue that it's better to be a low-income worker here in the UK than in the US, because the pay is pretty similar for entry-level jobs like receptionist or sanitation worker. Whereas on the higher end, for doctors, lawyers, engineers, the differences can be about 2 to 1. So there's less income inequality. There's probably less extreme poverty. And I think it creates different social environment. Every town, every city has pubs. Pretty much in every neighborhood there's a pub, and I like that atmosphere where people from all walks of life are coming for a drink, and you can also get food if you want it, but it's just a very casual place to hang out. It's very different from a restaurant. It's very different from a pub, from a bar. So it's kind of a uniquely British institution, and I think it has a more egalitarian feeling here in England. Now, if you like nature, I think the United States will be better because you have more dramatic natural landscapes, a lot more open space. You can go on epic road trips. Here, even in Scotland, a lot of the landscapes are affected by humans. So these are some of the differences I've noticed. They're really two very different countries other than the language. So don't imagine that your lifestyle will be very similar. It's been an adventure for me moving to the UK, and I personally wouldn't change anything, and I don't miss the United States too much. Thanks for listening.